Hello again, you gnawing horrors at the corners of the mind. It's time for turn number 35 of the Skavenblight game. So we've completed our research and construction. That takes us to level 6, and there's quite a few nice items available there, and I'll show you a couple of them I'll be forging this turn. I've summoned up some more spectres and a flame spirit, cast Voice of Apsu, but didn't find any sights. Got a Kashik record, and we cast that on Ulthuan, the High Elves. So we can have a look at what their scores are like. More Warp Lightning Throwers, more searching, but still not finding anything. Been quite unfortunate with our searches here. Got plenty of slaves rolling in, except no suitable blood slaves in Norfangs. That's interesting. Let's have a look at what's happened there. Failed our 2 infiltrations, but that's okay. We're going to move on, I think, because we might be bothering people, and I think Tilea is possibly not long for this world. And then we see some battles. So we've got none that we're taking place in, but one of them that's very important to us. So the first is we've got Ogres. They're just moving in. They lose very little, and they're just taking some knights. Must have had an event that knights attacked one of their provinces. Then we see a battle of the Greenskins attacking High Elves, reclaiming one of their lost territories. And I think they must have been expecting a massive fight here with the High Elf Chariot army, because they certainly brought a lot to take them out, including a lot of sacreds, and a little bit of mage support, not that much, but their god is there. It's quite nicely equipped for getting a beating on some chariots. They don't find any chariots. They find a single point of province defense. So let's quit out of that. We'll have a quick look at what they've got in the battle report. So yeah, lots of bosses, tiny bit of magic support, really not very much, and their god, of course. And yeah, lost a tiny bit, but took that province defense easily enough. And then we've got the massive High Elf force still rolling along, exactly the same as it was before. You know, powerful long-range firepower, lots of mages, a flying hero, and of course this massive army of chariots. And that's just Orc Province defense. Now, did they lose anything in the process? Yep, 2 more Lion Chariots gone. Those at 90 gold each. That's really not great that they keep losing those just knocking through Province defense. But it's something for us to remember. If we have even a little bit of resistance to one of their attacks, they're likely to lose some Lion Chariots to friendly fire. So that might be something you want to take advantage of. Because I assure you, based on where they're heading, they are coming right for us. And they said as much in Discord, in fact. We are their objective. They've just ploughed through the orcs, completely ignoring all the defences that were in their way, and gone for us. So we should give them a nice, hospitable Skaven welcome. Got another Warpstone seam appeared. 5 air gems, which is very nice. We could forge some more flying boots, for instance, with those. And we've got some diarrhea spreading amongst the militia, a lovely event to see. And then we lost a couple of scouts, that's fine. I'm not sure what this message is about. 20 mercenary units were without a commander and have left. Now, I only have 1 mercenary. He didn't have any units, I think. Yeah, not really sure what has made that come up, and it's slightly concerning that that's appeared. Now, the main thing that's happening this turn, as you can see from all these arrows, is I am moving a lot of stuff, including things that were previously in these provinces, back into this province. Why am I doing that? Why am I not reinforcing these 2 provinces, knowing that the High Elves are going to attack us? Well, firstly, I don't know which one they're going to. Secondly, I'm not fully prepared for the fight. I need to move my mages here to get gems and the like. This is a cave, which would be a fantastic place for us to fight them, but I just don't have everyone quite in range to get there because of this kind of tricky terrain on the way there. So what I've decided to do is, I don't know which of these they're going to take. I'm moving everything out, except I'm sending my god in here, and there is some province defense, which is unfortunate because it could cause my god to rout. But what we're going to do is sit in the corner, and then all the chariots are going to come over, kill all of these guys. They're going to head over to us, we're going to kill some of them, and then we're going to fly over to the rear of their formation and hopefully splat some of their mages. Now, if this goes wrong, it's okay. If we lose our god, that's not great, but I don't think it's very likely, because having lost the province defense, as soon as our god starts taking hits and takes a significant amount of damage, they will probably rout. And they fly, because they have flying boots. Or wing shoes, rather, they're called. So they should just escape fine. And I'm hoping they kill a bunch of chariots that probably they will be forced to rout, and they will escape. They're going into positive dominion, which is always fantastic. They're leaving from relatively high dominions. They've got quite a few hit points. And yeah, I'm hoping that works out fine. Now, Ideally, I would want to give them the Burning Pearl to push their attack skill up and make them into a repel monster, especially against those chariots. The problem I've got is that chariots put out loads of attacks, so repelling them is hard, and also I can't have the Burning Pearl because I need to take the anti-magic amulet. The reason I need to take that is because the elves have a pretty powerful bunch of astral mages, and they may just switch to casting Soul Slay with their Communion Master. Even Mindburn would be pretty unpleasant, but Soul Slayer is really the one I want to avoid taking in the face. And 24, it's not going to be 24 when we get there because our Dominion bonus will go down a bit, I think. Yeah, we'd also lose the. Have we got any drain in that province? That's a good question. Drain would be nice to have. No, in fact, in that province, there's 2 magic scales. It's not 3, and maybe it'll change because it is our Dominion over there, but yeah, that's not great. Well, I think we'll be okay, but we definitely don't want to be switching out for the Burning Pearl just because of the risk of that spell. Now, what I think will happen, because the person who's sending this is kind of being very blunt about it, they simply made a beeline all the way up the coast straight towards us, and they've just been moving this massive block, like very robotically, not changing the script, one province at a time. I think if they've got any scouts here at all, they're going to go straight into the cave province, even though that seemingly is a terrible idea, and they are going to then go for this fort. So I'm gathering everything here because I'll let them move into the cave province. If they don't move to the cave province, they'll have a fight with my god, that's fine. Either one of these provinces they move into, not a great deal of supplies. So I'm hoping that a bunch of them will become starving, and they'll attempt to move into the cave. Perhaps they'll move on to this cap, and I will send a force into there, and hopefully the battle will then happen in the cave province. But if it doesn't, it will happen here, and I can do a PD dump. So either way. Now, if they are moving to the cave province, we don't have very much there. We've got a tiny bit of PD, 1 caveman, and I had set it up so that there's really not going to be anything there. My troops are moving out. I've got loads of assassins moving in to do a wave of assassinations against them. But what I can do is send in just a little bit of extra chaff to try and make sure that as they're attacking there, they just lose some cavalries to friendly fire, which this is the kind of attrition that we want to see, because we don't mind losing our stuff. Every time they lose one of those, it's 90 gold and another significant problem for them. So I think we'll just send in a little bit of chaff there to kind of slow them down. So what can we send in? Well, we could send in warp lightning throwers and the like, but we might lose them. That would be a bit unfortunate. I think the best thing to send in just be Goetni, some very basic troops, Skaven slaves, and some giant rats. So I'm going to send in, I think, Rocklaw, and or perhaps Tretch, because he's yeah, Tretch being immortal is a nice trait. I don't have to worry about losing him too much. So maybe we'll leave these troops behind. I'll give them to, let's say, our Gracia. These Stormvermin guarding our Gracia. And then we'll just take a nice block of clan rats. Take any spare clan rats we have. Giant rat here to that. Yeah, and we'll just have a nice selection of chaff. And hopefully, this big line of chaff here, in fact, I'll put to a box, I think. This will cause some casualties from friendly fire. We've seen that the friendly fire has been happening as they hit the province defense. So I think we can just put them in roughly the same place. So yeah, let's do that. We can also put some of these archers on firing at the enemy archers, because they do have those bolt throwers, and maybe we'll get some lucky hits on those. Very unlikely, but let's see. Anyway, this is just a block of crap. Not expecting it to do anything. It's fine if it all dies. And I'll probably tell Tretch to stay around for a few turns and then retreat. Maybe he'll get killed, but he's immortal, so who cares? So yeah, we'll send Rocklaw and we'll send Tretch. And hopefully this will cause a bit of friendly fire. They'll have a little bit of an advantage from their dark vision. Maybe they'll stay alive for a little bit longer. But we're looking for the friendly fire and nothing else. And of course, a big assassination trap. So let's also put, yeah, let's put aside. Put these rats back here. Lovely. And of course, we're recruiting another Powmaster there, so there'll be a few more rats there that we recruit. We could even throw in a few of these if we wanted to, but Yeah, maybe that's a good idea to throw them in. They'll just join the province defense. Let's leave some of these troops at home. Selection of these, and we'll just recruit some more slaves in this province. That way we've got things in case stuff goes wrong back, to hold up a siege back into the home province. Let's do that. Anyway, moving lots of troops in here. I'm also summoning some fire snakes. I'm casting more warp lightning throwers rather. We're summoning up another flame spirit that will be spamming fire elementals. And of course, we're moving in assassins. We're also summoning some ghosts, so we're going to have plenty to fight them with here. And part of the reason I'm being a bit inefficient just throwing gems around is I want to make a good show for you guys. So hopefully you'll enjoy it if we have a big fight there. Now, I think they'll move there, but if they do move up here, we can see our god fight. So either way, we're fine. They're going to be trying to burn temples. Maybe they'll split their forces. That'd be good because my god would have more of a chance against half a force. And yeah, we'll just see what happens. Still moving more stuff in, still blood hunting over here. Moving in my flame spirits, moving in just a huge amount of stuff. Assassins moving in. I've given him the boots of the messenger, which I made with my mercenary druid. I really was making those for my god, but he doesn't really need the reinvig for that particular fight. I think I'd rather have him flying so that he can escape the battle if he gets surrounded. But yeah, sending them in because that gives them extra map move. It lets me move there immediately. Speaking of assassinations and cheesy tactics, because I've now got these water mages, so I'm forging a water bracelet, which is a water 1 booster. That's a construction 6 item. And another new construction 6 item I can get is the bottle of living water. The bottle of living water is great because it allows any commander to summon 1 giant water elemental in every battle. So very, 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 very strong on assassins. A little bit cheesy, in fact, on assassins. But we're willing to be a bit cheesy. I'm not going to go overboard with it, but it's good fun to do a little bit of it. In terms of research, I'm getting alteration level 3. The reason I'm getting that is that I can have my pretender cast Iron Skin. It also takes us over in case we want to cast Immolation at close range with any of our fire mages, though that's a bit dangerous. You could do it with a Flame Spirit Thug. We could then get Warp Static and Destruction a bit later. That'd be nice. But yeah, we're going for Alteration 3 and then Enchantment level 4. And the reason we're going for Enchantment level 4 is primarily Death Frenzy, which makes our troops berserk, which is very useful when Skaven like to rout so much. Anti-magic, very useful again, particularly going to be useful against the Lizardmen when we end up fighting them. Flaming Arrows becomes an option. We've got plenty of mages that can get up to F4 and cast that easily enough. And we're going to have Skaven Slave Slingers, which are 5 gold each, and have a sling, so that's great for Flaming Arrows. If they haven't put Fire Protection up, that's going to put a beating on a lot of stuff. It also brings us up towards level 5 where we can get these resistance spells we might need. Flame Ward and Thunder Ward are both great for us because we've got so much fire and lightning we throw around. Anyway, that's where we're going with our research. We'll be able to do both of those levels in 1 turn, so we should queue up something after them. See, our research is 614 and this is going to cost us 598. So where should we go next? Well, we could get a level of blood. That would be interesting because it gets us Molder Pit breeding, and I could show you that. Although I kind of want to use my blood slaves to cast lifelong protections or forge lifelong protections. So an item I'll show you in a moment. Another one that's great on assassins. So what shall we do? Could have Thaumaturgy. Go for Mindburn. Could be useful in some of our fights. I think possibly we should just keep going. Weapons of Sharpness. Our god can cast it. It's very nasty. We can cast it with Summon Earth Power and extra gems with our Earth-booted Warlocks, so that would be very nice. We can cast Mechanical Men. Lots of nice stuff there. We can cast Construct Screaming Bell, which is something I'd like to show you because it's a national one. Yeah, that's very tempting. Weapons of Sharpness is a big one. Don't know. Difficult decision. It doesn't matter that much because it's only a tiny bit, so we can just decide next turn. So maybe I'll just put in Construction for now. Now over here, the Lizardmen have clearly started patrolling the entire border. Now, it was pretty obvious they were going to do that, given that they know what we've done twice to 2 other nations. I've heard that the Chaos Dwarfs have started attacking them, so I'm building lots of scouts, and I'm going to send in a wave of scouts to find out what's going on. In fact, let's move a couple of them we have kicking about here to see what's happening. Maybe our entire chain of scouts can move up a little bit. That might be a good idea. Yeah, so still massing troops down here. Forging a lifelong protection, which is a fantastic item, spawns, I think it's 2 imps every single round of combat. great for assassins and just generally useful to have in battles, kicking stuff out. One of the nice things about forging items here is that anything I forge can of course be immediately teleported via the lab system over here and used in this battle. So yeah, very nice. Sending my mercenary druid off to do some site searching, lots of other people doing site searching, and hopefully I finally start finding something. In terms of recruitment, getting lots of slaves here, some storm vermin, sensor bearers, and weapons teams, spending quite a bit here to beef up our forces even more. And elsewhere I'm recruiting more budget mages, basically. I've got so many samples, I've got an extra point of holy, so I can now get more my council card every turn, which is very welcome. And I'm also recruiting, where are we? This fort, I believe? Yes, 2 assassins. Gonna really get a lot of assassins going with those living water bottles, lifelong protection, all that good stuff. It's gonna be very fun. Okay, guys, hopefully there's gonna be either a nice battle with my god or a setup for a big battle in the following turn in this province. So I will see you next time to check that one out. Oh, actually, one more thing I wanted to point out before I go is that now that I'm in Construction 6, I can forge Skulls of Fire. This is very nice because it's only available to nations that have Death and Fire crosspaths. It's Death 1, Fire 1, so it's 5 Fire Gems, 5 Death Gems to forge, and it's a Fire booster. Now the reason I'm doing 2 of those is that 2 Fire boosters will allow me to take anything that's at even F1, go up to F2, and then can get itself to F3, Phoenix Power, and cast Fire Elementals. And this army is absolutely vulnerable to Fire Elementals. Those chariots will not do well against big Fire Elementals, so putting out a huge number of those right at the start of the battle, very, very welcome. So let's see how it all goes. That's the theory, but you know, no plan survives contact with the enemy. See you next turn. Quick addendum to the video. I realised that after I'd finished recording that I'd teased showing you some graphs for the High Elves, and then I never did, so let's rectify that immediately. So let's have a look. Score graphs. So province-wise, you can see this is the Chaos Dwarfs. I think they're around up here now. Lizardmen, I believe, have gained a little bit more. Maybe they're about the same as us up here. High Elves, basically they made their expansion, got around here, and then this has been taking some thrones and then fighting with the orcs a bit and then cutting through the orcs territory and then losing it all as they move along because they're just going after me seemingly. Forts, not that many. Income, not bad. I mean, a lot of this spike is from taking the territory off the orcs and then they're losing it, but yeah, not too bad. I think they've got pretty good scales. Gem income, compared to mine, not much, but overall, yeah, again, it's not too bad. I think the orcs have done a bit of site searching there, and so the things they were taking from the orcs were giving them a bit more, but yeah, not bad gem income. This is where it gets a bit scary. So this is basically, you know, nearly double my research, probably will be double my research soon enough. You can see this has got a great curve on it. You know, they started going early. This is kind of what we're seeing here is the score graphs of a nation that hasn't been embroiled in wars. They hadn't had to use their mages in wars like we definitely have. Not so much for taking down Altdorf, though we did sit quite a few in places where there were no labs in their territory for a bit. But in our war with Bretonnia, we had to use our mages quite heavily, and a lot of the time they didn't have an access to a lab, so we weren't keeping the research going. We started hitting our skull mentors and curving up, but we were slowly producing skull mentors, not producing a huge amount. They, on the other hand, they've just been steadily recruiting mages, and they have very good research mages. So you can see they have got fantastic research. I think the Lizardmen maybe have just passed them, looking at the way that this curve is going. Yeah, very strong. Fairly strong Dominion, not as strong as mine because I've been blood sacrificing and I took a high starting Dominion and had my god running around, of course. Army size, yeah, I mean, they pretty much have just been building those lion chariots up and then rolling along with those. Yeah, not a massive army size, certainly less than half of the total army size that we have. And you can see they grabbed quite a few thrones. I think they lost one there to, yeah, this was losing it to the orcs, I believe, but they've had the most thrones early on. So kind of a nation that's been at peace, grabbed some thrones, got a lot of research going, and yeah, they're now setting out to attack someone with their army, and it happens to be me. So one of the unfortunate things here is I'm pretty sure that these two are going to be the 2 research leaders, High Elves and Lizardmen, and consequently, I think that's the 2 armies that I'm going to be, the 2 nations I'm going to be scrapping with are the ones that have not only the best research, but kind of twice as much research as me. So I could at some point get spanked because Dominions really is, in a lot of ways, a game about having these absolutely powerful key spells that kind of wreck an entire battlefield or allow you massive strategic advantages. And I don't really have those. I do have a lot of key spells for my nation, but I don't have things like giving everything on the battlefield luck, fog warriors giving everything on the battlefield mist form. I can get around that by producing magic damage, but I don't have it for my own troops. So if I get into a big army battle like that, it's going to be very unfavourable to me, I think, either of these two. Yeah, well, we'll see how that goes, but I just thought I'd show you the score graphs there. So this time I really do mean it. I will see you next turn. Hello again. Let's look at turn number 36 of the Skavenblight game. So this turn we were expecting that we would have to deal with the High Elves' big stack of chariots and mages. But let's just have a look through the messages and see what happened. So we've completed research and alteration and enchantment, which is nice. Enchantment 4 gives us quite a few different things. Alteration was mainly for our pretender. We've summoned some fire snakes and some ghosts, and outfitted some more stuff and got a flame spirit, and that's all in that fort that's next to where the High Elves are invading. Bit more site searching failed. Got plenty of slaves, that's nice. And then we've got an assassination. So this is one of their weaker mages, the Harathoi mage. So this is their basic mage, that's part of their communion. A good researcher, and yeah, fire and astral one are very useful for going communions. Basic plan here is casting animate skeleton. So what they're doing, because they're off script, because they're in an assassination, we can see here what these mages in general are going to do in assassinations, and it's personal luck, combustion, which they've cast luckily on the skeleton, not my assassin. So we keep making skeletons. They're casting combustion again. They've cast it on my assassin this time, so that's not good. We're on fire. We do have quite a few hit points, so we should be okay. And in go the skeletons, and the mage is basically doomed now. They don't stand a chance. So it's just whether we die from the combustion or not, and we take a lot of damage, and we end up on 3 hit points, but we have no afflictions or anything, so no damage done to us, and 1 mage gone, and that's 130 gold mage, and it was one of, I think they had 9, so that's one of them gone. That'll harm their communion a bit, which is nice, but also just cuts down the number of mages I'm dealing with. Got an infiltration in Tilea, so we've got mundane graphs for Tilea, so we can have a look at those. And then we see some battles. So the Chaos Dwarves are attacking the Lizardmen. Let's have a quick look at that. So we can see their force. It's basically Fireglaves. I think I'm going to have to tone these down because they really shouldn't be fielding forces entirely made of Fireglaves. They've got a lot of their mages. In fact, they've got some of their mages that have been fully stone cursed. So the Chaos Dwarfs have a mechanic where over time their mages slowly turn to stone, and when they're fully turned to stone, they're carried around as a statue, a living statue, by a pair of guards. So these are quite tough units when they've got those 2 guards. You can see they've got quite a few hit points. They lose all their magic paths, but they do get a holy 3 out of it. And they've got another one here who's in a different stage of turning to stone. Only his legs have turned to stone, so he's lost a bit of his paths. And each time there's a turn that the stone curse will progress. Yeah. So use them while you've got them, Chaos Dwarves, and they certainly are doing that. They've also got one of their recruitable very big... Oh no, he's their national hero actually. So one of their national heroes, Shartor the Executioner. Very, very tasty unit, very tough indeed. He's in there carrying basic fire resistance, and then he's got his mask that lets him do a special attack. And he's just up against some province defense. But I just wanted to show you what their army looked like. It's pretty scary, and the Lizardmen are going to have to come up with some specialized solutions to this, which is good news for us. Then we see Tilea attacking Ogres in Palgrave. This is just a raid. They've got some mercenaries and they're taking out some province defense. Ogres attacking Tilea. This is a small force of ogres, although they do have 25 pit fighters, so it's by no means a small commitment of gold, because you remember they cost 15 each, they're 90 gold, they're very expensive. They're just taking some province defense. And then Slaanesh is also just taking some province defense. And they have a very tough force here, including one of their national heroes, the Prince of the Swords of Inyar. 6 sorcerers. I think they're going with evocation for their sorcerers, and they've also got some Chaos Spawn, Demonettes, really nasty stuff. Yeah, so Tilea are in extreme trouble now. Now, next we have our battle. Oh, the Lizardmen attacked me. This is very weird, and I think this must be a misclick. So they attacked me with just this one guy with no equipment. He's a law scale. These guys can teleport, and they can teleport in battle. They've got a very good map move. Basically, they can teleport on the map as well. So I think he just misclicked on my province. But it is weird, and it does, I'm basically planning on war with the Lizardmen anyway, but yeah, pretty weird behaviour. Maybe he was thinking that he could just nip in and kill the commander of any province defence there. I'm not sure, but I'm going to take that as basically a declaration of war. I'm moving my guys in on the Lizardmen. I don't know if things will turn into a hot war just now, but I'm certainly consider myself at war with them now they've done that, because they haven't explained that it was a misclick. So then we've got I think this is the massive Orc and Goblin army taking over the High Elves territory they vacated. They've only sent a small group, but they took out the little bit of province defence that was left behind. And then we have the High Elves fighting us in Silver Wall, and that is where I sent my Pretender. So there's no other battles between us, so they've basically sent a very big force over to fight my Pretender. They didn't know my Pretender was going to be there. This is their invasion force. So again, big core of these very expensive Eagle-Claw bolt throwers, loads of these very expensive Lion Chariots, so incredibly expensive gold for this army, and then each of these mages is 130 gold each, so they've got 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those, and then they've got their two bigger mages back here, the Priestess of Aisha. So they've got one that's high nature, it's going to cast probably Howl and Anti-Magic, I'm guessing, and the other one can cast Fire Elementals, although that's a bit of a weird decision, but I guess if they're a Communion Master, maybe they're just there to carry the Fire Gems, I'm not sure. Do they have any of these carrying Fire Gems? Well, I can't see any. Okay, what we've got is a tiny bit of province defense. I think it's 8 points, 9 points, maybe it's 10, and then we've got our god. And the plan here is buff up to get lots of protection, sit at the back for a little bit, a couple of turns fighting stuff, doing some damage to the chariot, and then fly over and attack rear. So let's see how that goes. So they're set to fire large, which is sensible, or maybe fire random, not sure. Probably fire large to go after my god or whatever else I field. Not worried about those shots at this range. I've got a shield and everything. They do have one extremely strong shot in amongst the smaller shots, so a lot of their shots are just 14 AP damage, which is already very nasty, but it's like Arbalest type shots. And then they've got these big things, the Ballista Bolts, that are 30 and are also armor piercing. But yeah, they only fire every 3 rounds, so much less of a worry. So there goes the Fury of Cain, which hits their own troops as usual. Their ballista shots kill a bunch of their own troops. So they're all coming in, my god. You can see not really much damage being done here. The hero manages to do some damage, which I guess is unsurprising. A lot of them have gone berserk now because they've cast Growing Fury, I think. Oh, no, they've cast Howl, rather. Yeah, not sure why some of them are berserk then. Gone berserk. They must have been casting Touch of Madness. Very strange. But yeah, they have some... I guess that was to make their hero berserk? I'm not sure. Anyway, we have taken a hit, but it's nothing too bad. We've still got plenty of hit points left. We are taking hits slowly from these. You can see our hit points are going down as we're hit by these Lion Chariots. They do hit pretty hard with their big two-handed axes. But the Fire Shield is doing great. You can see they're just burning themselves up in the Fire Shield. The fact they've cast Howl means I'm going to burn up a bunch of irrelevant wolves as well. Their hero is almost dead from just hitting the Fire Shield because of his length 0 and length 2 attacks. We're doing just fine. They're casting Paralyze, but we have very high magic resistance. It's not really affecting us. Yeah, plenty of reinvigoration. So we're doing okay so far, but we are getting encumbered over time, which is not ideal. I think we could have used a bit more reinvigoration. So more anti-magic coming in. Now, at this point, we did get all our buffs off, so we have excellent protection. But the fatigue being up that high is a bit of a problem because we'll start to take critical hits. More importantly, I don't understand why my god has not taken off. They've got flight, and I told them to attack rear at this point in their script. So we've killed the hero on the Great Eagle. We're killing a lot of these chariots, but we are taking damage. I really want them to be attacking rear right now, and if they attacked rear, they would land either over here with these mages. I think that's the most likely. possibly they would go after these. These guys are moving forward, which is a worry, because they've stopped firing because they don't want to get that friendly fire in there. These fire elementals are good news for us. I'm not worried about those at all. It's basically just a waste of gems for them. But yeah, they're casting Paralyzed. There was a Soul Slay in there, but really not very much because they're doing a big communion and it's not landing anything effective on our guy. The Fire Shield's doing great, killing lots more stuff. We've taken a bit more damage, but it's not too bad. The Fear is not doing very much at all, unfortunately. I was hoping it would cause a bit more routing to happen. So now they've cast Growing Fury, which is going to make things slowly go berserk. It shouldn't affect us because we have such good magic resistance, but we'll see. Yep, plenty more kills. Fire Shield's working great. So this is working fine so far. We're killing a lot of their chariots, killing a lot of the White Lions. The Howl is not affecting us. We're not really taking any damage. We are taking too much chip damage. So at this point, what I was expecting is, because we've already lost all the province defense, that my god would, at a certain point, I'd just have lost too much hit points overall, and they would flee the battle. But it's just not happening. They're also just ignoring their script and not flying over to attack rear, and I genuinely don't understand why. It's a mystery to me. Like, they're still attacking these troops at the back, yeah, which they really shouldn't be. So now the fire elementals have come over, and their heat aura is fine. It's just going to fatigue out the stuff that's around me. It's not going to affect me at all. But I have taken too much damage now. I'm not very happy about that. Yeah, so still fine. Still roasting stuff in. You know, the fire shield's doing most of it. We're occasionally stabbing things. If we look at the individual battle logs, you click on them and press V to see their individual log. We've got tons of fire damage being dished out by fire shields, and us just not taking any damage at all from most stuff. We occasionally take a bit of chip damage. Ideally, we'd have regeneration on like a super combatant like this, but what we need is extra MR, we need regeneration, we need increased attack. We've only got one misc slot. It really is a big problem. They've only got one misc slot, and we're not making the best use of all of our hand slots. So yeah, slowly getting chipped down, but we are, you know, this is where we're attacking with our stingers, so we can say we're just blasting war lions. A wolf, that's a waste, but blasting another war lion, that's good. Every time we kill a chariot, it turns into a wolf lion after all. Yeah, we're starting to see some flee, but now we have a problem because the Eagle Claw bolt throwers are moving into close range to fire, and they're not going to miss very much at close range. So can I survive a hail of armor-piercing bolts? That's the question. Particularly given all of this chip damage I've taken. We'll see. Well, that's the first volley of them, and we did take some damage. And now we are routing. Now, we should just fly away here, because as soon as it's our turn, we have flight, we're routing. Got hit again by another volley of shots. Took a hard hit then, still no extra afflictions, but only 15 hit points left. Still not flying away. Took some more hits, and look. See this big volley, they're all going to smack into it, and those are 14 AP shots. God's dead. Well, that's not ideal. No. So what actually happened? Well, let's look in the log and see it right at the end what happened there. We had 15 left, so I suspect we just got taken out by the AP damage from these shots. In fact, I don't even need to look at the log. I know that's what happened. We didn't get this priest of Aisha who'd gone berserk and had gotten right up next to us. If we'd have just survived for another turn, she probably would have got killed against the fire shield, so that sucks. Yeah, very unlucky there. And the thing that's really bothering me about this is that our god just ignored the script we gave them. We did say attack rear. Unless I made like a very bizarre mistake, I can go back and look at the footage, but I'm pretty sure I said attack rear. And I also would have expected them, having taken that much damage, to rout and just fly away. They had flight. So yeah, I think a good plan, but some slightly strange circumstances sort of got rid of it, and also just the sheer fire from these guys when they decided to move into close range. Big problem, killed our god. But let's see what damage we did to the High Elves. I know we killed a bunch of chariots, so let's have a look. Well, we killed the prince, that's good. We killed 34 lion chariots of grace, and those are 90 gold each, so that's over 3,000, I believe, at least, you know, counting these other troops certainly is. We killed 6 in total of the war lions, but that's counting the 34 lion chariots that turned into war lions. So we killed 34 lions plus another 6. We killed 40 lions in total. So yeah, they've got a greatly diminished number of those left. This force, you know, it's not crippled by any means. They've still got their mages. They've still got most of their lion chariots, but it's lost over a third of its lion chariots, quite a bit of its other stuff. The Prince on the Great Eagle, and yeah, a good amount of their war lions. You know, about a third of those too. So not ideal for us, particularly because we're fully geared. So they've nicked all of that equipment. Although if we kill them, possibly we can get it back. We'll see. Yeah, kind of a mixed result, I would say. And I'm just confused as to why the god didn't firstly follow the script and secondly rout off the battlefield earlier, you know, and just fly away. It's a bit strange. This is the Greenskins taking another High Elf province. This is their big army and attacking a more significant bit of province defense there. I think that's on a fort. But yeah, probably not worth watching. We've got some unexpected events. Here's a bad one. Rivia takes a nasty hit, losing gold population and gaining unrest. Not great. Where's Rivia? Right down there. So, you know, it's one of my better provinces, but yeah, it's slightly on the edge of my empire. And then we've got Copper Canyons, Bad Omens, Misfortune 3, that's fine. Griffin Rock, we get some gold. Okay, we've got a little bit back that we'd lost. So what are we doing this turn? Well, we have to predict what the High Elves are going to do, right? There's two places they can go. They're not going to stay there. I strongly suspect they're not going to stay there. If they do, I mean, they're just staying there wasting their time. They could stay there and build a lab so they can send home any of the items they stole. That's certainly true. But I suspect the Orcs are just going to keep moving their force down and attacking the High Elves. And they did send these up specifically, not to do anything particularly useful to try and win the game, but specifically just to attack me. I talked to the player a bit on Discord and I suggested, hey, why don't we just have, since this is what you want, a big fight, army to army in Mapito Cliffs. And I am 100% certain I would win that battle and smash their army with what I've got here. But they said, you know, elves are unpredictable. Maybe we'll do something completely different. So they didn't really agree to that. And fair enough, you know, they can do what they want. So I don't know where they're going to go. They could go up here, they could go down there. If I knew for a fact they were going to Mapito Cliffs, then I could just set up a big force to fight them there and crush them. I don't know that. It would suck if I moved a bunch of research mages and everything here and then didn't have to fight them there. So instead what I'm going to do is basically stay back, do a bit more summoning and researching, and I'm going to send a small force just to cause attrition damage to this province. This is some fire snakes, some slaves to act as fodder, a Skitterleap storm vermin trap. You know, you've seen that before, the Skitterleap system that we use. In fact, I think I will move these lads back a bit. That's fine. So yeah, that's just to try and hit their mages with some of our storm vermin. Some of our poison sacreds, the sense bearers, just to try and hit the chariots. Because if a sense bearer hits a chariot and does enough poison damage that it kills it, it's well worth it. You know, it's paid for itself. Well, there. We've got somebody stealthy preaching, and we've got these assassins that are actually moving out of there, and we're sending in some rats. So the main thing here is fire snakes, and we're summoning some fire elementals, and it's just to cause some attrition damage, and then Riego's gonna leave. That's my fire spirit. In fact, he's currently slated to use 5 fire gems. I know that he'll use some to reduce the cost. I'm just gonna go for casting 4 and then retreating. That's absolutely fine. You know, it might all go wrong, but if somebody does get to him, I've given him some armor, which has made him significantly less likely to just get killed by something stray. He's got a fire shield, he's ethereal, he's got protection 17, he can hit in combat, you know, it's fine. He's got heat power and he is stronger in heat scales, and we have heat 3 there, whereas up here we only have heat 2. But, we're moving into spring here, so it's not really going to cool down very much. This is pretty much going to stay hot over here. So yeah, fire elementals work well. Now up here I'm not mounting a defense, so if they move down here they will run into a defense. They'll also run into my army that's moving up here to take the province as they leave it, which is really just, show you what I've got there. It's really just kind of a suicidal force in a lot of ways. It's just some rats. I'm actually going to move these back because they might get intercepted, so I don't want them in higgledy-piggledy like that. Yeah, and it's led by Tretch because he's immortal, so who cares what happens to him. It's got a little bit of attack rear, since maybe we can sneak around. I don't think so because they've got such a long line of cavalry, but it's possible we'd be able to sneak around. Might put those guys on hold and attack rear given the circumstances. But yeah, that's basically just to go and fight some province defense. They might not even beat them if they do a significant dump of province defense there, but it doesn't matter. This is all really just chaff. And over here, my plan is very simple. I am moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 assassins in. One of them has a living water bottle. One of them has a lifelong protection and a burning pearl to give them some fire resistance. A couple of them have nothing, and a couple of them have Charms of the Dead, so they can just do animate skeleton, because we know that that works. We already have seen that work. We might die from the combustion, I suppose, but we've already seen it work against their mages, so it's fine. So I'm hoping they move there, and then they'll just get hit by a ton of assassination straight away, and my army will move on to them immediately. And hopefully, we'll hit the prince that's leading their forces, and we will be able to force their troops to stay there, and they can get attacked as their mages try to move somewhere else. So that's basically the plan. Lure them into an assassination trap. If not, an attrition trap down here, and then the same thing we planned last turn, which is move our forces to collide straight into them in this cave province. So I think we've got plans for either way. Really, they're not in a position where they're going to do that much damage to us, and they're not really like a sieging force or anything. So if we lose either of these provinces, I don't care. If we lose the stuff in the provinces, I don't particularly care. The stuff we're sending to them, even if we fail lots of the assassinations, it's not that big a problem for us. So yeah, that's pretty much the situation with the High Elves, and it frees us up to do a load of research, which is nice because this province doesn't have our drain scales yet. Even though we've got good dominion there, the drain has not spread. So people who research there are getting a better rate than I usually would. We're also calling our god. It takes on average 50 priest levels worth of god calling. So that would be 2, that's 2, and it is quite variable. But that will get our god back. So you want to just keep banking those. We've got quite a lot of priests, so we can do a lot of calling, and that'll be, pretty effective. I think I might summon up some more fire snakes possibly here, actually. Do I have a spare flame booster? I don't. Okay, well, let's just summon up some anyway. Yeah, just to have a few more troops. I think it's interesting at least. Oh, to show you what a fire snake is like and why I've summoned them up. So here's a ghost. Does a bit of everything. The main thing is ethereal and fear. Here is a fire snake. Better when it's in heat. Has an area effect attack, which is armor piercing, which is very nice. Relatively tough because 25 hit points protection. It won't last very long against chariot, but if they can bite them, it'll work rather nicely. And of course, they're fire and poison resistant, which is pretty useful. Yeah, so that's the defense we're preparing there. And really, the best thing we can do as Skaven is kind of attrition warfare. We don't want to have a big fight, but we will if it's necessary. And also, I'll try to kind of steer a bit more towards one of those than I usually would because I know it's entertaining for the viewers. Over here, of course, we are preparing for the Lizardmen. So I'm moving some forces here, just kind of a basic spraying lightning and liquid death all over them, sending my goats in to go and headbutt them, and plenty of clan rats and gust runners attacking rear. Not sending my sacreds in, keeping them back for a bit in reserve. Because I'm hoping the Lizardmen are really, you can see they've got a massive force here, but they're really just going to have to fight the Chaos Dwarfs, and we'll kind of see how that goes. So a lot of my forces, instead of attacking, I don't think I've got anyone outright attacking, they're doing some sneaking. Like here we have a nice little force of Pestilence Censer Bearers and a Plague Priest moving down here. We want to just be able to nip at these different places. Hit them in various places. I'm not really hoping to go to a huge commitment to this war at the moment, not until I've dealt with the High Elves and kind of sorted things out a bit more diplomatically on my other borders, but we do want to be prepared to just make this war with the Chaos Dwarves go a bit more against the Lizardmen, because I think they're stronger than the Chaos Dwarves, and they're going to struggle a bit, so see how it goes, but being prepared to actually kind of help them and do some damage is a good idea. Forging-wise, doing another bottle of living water, Amulet of Anti-Magic and Elemental Armor. This is just to replace things that my god has lost. When my god comes back, there's still items that I want to be able to use with her. So we'll be using those. Other things are easy enough to do, stingers and stuff. But they're not going to be back next turn. It's going to take a couple of turns of calling god, even with lots of priests. So yeah, bits and pieces here and there. and forging another lifelong protection because they're fantastic and really fun, and that's a good use for our blood slaves. Research-wise, we're going to get a couple of levels of blood magic. That's partly just because I want to test out Pestilence Plague Rats, but also to get Molder Pit Breeding to just give me loads and loads of chaff, which is very nice. Potentially get up to Rat Ogres. But yeah, just kind of more interesting stuff to show you. And I've decided not to go for Construction 7 at the moment. I'm going to go up Evocation, because again, I just kind of want to show you a bunch of spells. I want to show you Warp Scorch, Warp Lightning, the big version of Warp Lightning, not the minor one. That's minor Warp Scorch, the big version of Warp Scorch, which blows a big hole in stuff. And Greater Warp Lightning, which is basically 6+ Thunder Strikes. Very inaccurate, but it is basically 6+ Thunder Strikes from one commander. It does cost an Earth Gem and is very tiring, but it blows absolutely massive holes in things. So yeah, if we go up Evocation, we'll also get to Firestorm. And Firestorm is something that with a Flaming Skull misc item and with the Flame Helmet, one of our Flame Spirits can go and cast. And if they don't have fire resistance, that can roast an entire army, which is very, very welcome. Other things we can get to is Rain of Stones, potentially through our Silver Adept Order Priests, Silver Adept Order Majors, and yeah, some other bits. Magma Eruption we can cast at level 6, which would be very nice to have. Yeah, I just like Evocation, it's fun, it's one of the reasons. Oh, and Banefire we can cast, very nice. Yeah, that's basically the plan. And I'll see you next turn, and hopefully we'll get to see some nice. Well, we won't see the assassins that turn, but we'll get to see whether the elves have gone into our trap and what's happening next. I'm sorry we didn't get the huge battle kind of coming up that we were hoping for, but I hope that the god battle was entertaining enough. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.